Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 23rd, 2022 legislative session of the Salisbury City Council. First, I'd like to make a safety announcement. If there is an emergency that takes place, please exit the council room in an orderly fashion, make a right-hand turn, go down to the end of the hallway and down the stairs. If for some reason that exit is blocked, exit the council chambers, make a left-hand turn, then a right-hand turn all the way to the end of the hall and down the stairs. Please do not use the elevator if there is an emergency. If you need assistance, please ask for it and it will be provided to you. Please join me now in the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, please join me in a moment of silent meditation or prayer. Thank you. Ms. Glantz, we have a proclamation this evening.
Good evening, council, guests.
Good evening.
Before you is a proclamation for National Gun Violence Awareness Day. So, whereas every day more than 110 Americans are killed by gun violence alongside more than 200 who are shot and wounded, and on average there are nearly 16,000 gun homicides every year. And whereas Americans are 26 times more likely to die by gun homicide than people in other high-income countries. And whereas Maryland has 743 gun deaths every year with a rate of 12.4 deaths per 100,000 people, with Maryland having the 32nd highest gun deaths in the United States. And whereas gun homicides and assaults are concentrated in cities with more than half of all firearm-related deaths in the nation occurring in 127 cities. And whereas cities across the nation, including Salisbury, are working to end the senseless violence with evidence-based solutions. And whereas protecting public safety in the communities they serve is a mayor's highest responsibility. And whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from people with dangerous histories. And whereas mayors and law enforcement officers know their communities best, are the most familiar with local criminal activity and how to address it, and are best positioned to understand how to keep their citizens safe. And whereas the city of Salisbury renews its commitment to reduce gun violence, as well as uphold its pledge to do all it can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands and encourage responsible gun ownership in order to help keep citizens safe. Now, therefore, on behalf of Mayor Day, do hereby proclaim June 3rd as National Gun Violence Awareness Day. I'm not sure if there's anybody here representing this organization, but certainly appreciate the efforts. I think they were out at Third Friday, and certainly appreciate the strong work that the SPD does and all of our law enforcement officers.
Thank you. We also have this evening some awards, and they will be presented by Fire Chief John Tull, Chief, and assisted by Darren Scott, Deputy Chief.
Good evening. Thank you,
Good
Council
evening.
President, members of Council, and City Administration for the opportunity to be here tonight. It is truly an honor for me to stand before you and recognize some remarkable people in our community and members within the Salisbury Fire Department. Tonight is a special night, one where we can celebrate several success stories. Can I please have Elizabeth Day and Jason Lewis come stand with me, please? Sure, you can. So on December 8th, 2021, while on their normal morning work commute, both Elizabeth Day and Jason Lewis saw smoke coming from a house located in the 200 block of Hartford Road. As they approached the house, they saw a female occupant entering back into the residence. Elizabeth Day called 911 and reported that the house was on fire and that an occupant was still inside. Prior to the Salisbury Fire Department's arrival, both Elizabeth and Jason entered the house and attempted to remove the occupant. After several attempts to remove the occupant, smoke and fire conditions worsened, pushing both Elizabeth and Jason out of the house. Deputy Chief Scott was the first fire unit to arrive on the scene and found fire and smoke showing from multiple sides of the structure. He was contacted by both Elizabeth and Jason and notified that there was a female occupant still inside. Deputy Chief Scott went to the rear of the house and found that the occupant had exited the back door and was safely removed to an EMS unit and transported to Title Health for evaluation. Elizabeth and Jason should be commended for their brave actions to save a life. If it was not for their quick recognition and prompt actions, the outcome could have been very different. On behalf of the department, it is my honor to present Elizabeth Day and Jason Lewis with the City of Salisbury Fire Department Citizens Commendation Award for saving or attempting to save a person from death or serious injury from fire accident with moderate risk to themselves. The second event for the night occurred on February 23rd, 2022. The Salisbury Fire Department, along with the Hebron Fire Department, was alerted for a reported house fire in the 900 block of North Division Street. Communication advised all responding units that they have reports of occupants still trapped inside. Deputy Chief Scott arrived on location with fire showing and a female occupant trapped on the second floor roof. Truck 2 arrived on location and crew performed aggressive search and rescue operations on the second floor due to a reported second occupant still inside. While the crew of Truck 2 performed search and rescue on the second floor, Sergeant Nick Bond threw a 16-foot ladder to the front porch roof of the building. Sergeant Bond climbed the ladder and assisted the occupant safely while the fire vented out multiple second-floor windows. The occupant was safely moved to an EMS unit and evaluated by EMS personnel. The entire house was searched by the crew of Truck 2, and it was confirmed that no other occupants were inside. On behalf of the department, it is my honor to present the following members with the City of Salisbury Fire Department Unit Citation Award, which is awarded to members of a division shift, company, or unit for exceptional meritorious service or exceptional outstanding achievement, whereby the designated unit is clearly set above and apart from other units. Lieutenant Aaron Colgrove. Sergeant Brandon Records. Firefighter, paramedic Brandon Hoppus. Deputy Chief Darren Scott. Additionally, it is my honor to present Sergeant Nick Bond with the City of Salisbury Fire Department's Departmental Combination Award, which is awarded to members who, in the course of firefighting, rescue, or emergency medical operation, performed acts of exceptional intelligence, alertness, and vigilance in direct firefighting or while saving or attempting to save the lives of others. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Congratulations to you all for going above and beyond. At this time, I'll call for a motion and a second to adopt the legislative agenda.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Jackson, I heard Mrs. Gregory first, so I'll give it to Mrs. Gregory. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. The legislative agenda is approved by a vote of 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boda, Mrs. Gregory. Good evening, Mrs. Nichols.
Good evening, Mr. Heath, everyone.
On the consent agenda tonight, we have the April 25th, 2022 council meeting minutes, the May 2nd, 2022 work session minutes, which were revised in the packet today and reposted on the city website today. The May 2nd special meeting minutes, the May 9th council meeting minutes, and the May 16th work session minutes. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll call the motion. All those in favor of the consent agenda?
To amend it?
No, because it's been posted
Okay.
already, so we're okay. Good question, though. I'll call the motion now. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the chair votes aye. The consent agenda is approved by a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Mrs. Nichols. Next week, I'll accept a motion to award the bids.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Jackson and Ms. Blake. It's presented this evening by procurement specialist, contract specialist Mike Lowe, who's obviously been out in the sun.
Good evening, council.
Good evening, Mike.
Members of the public. So I have two components that make up one item for the award of bids this evening. As you see in the memo, the Department of Procurement seeks approval from the City Council to award the following procurement. The ITB 22-126 sanitation truck for our Field Operations Department. This is a new production 2024 International cab and chassis with a Howe PT 1000 rear loader refuse body. There's two cooperative contracts we utilize to obtain pricing. One contract correlated with the cab and chassis through International. The other contract correlated with the Howe body through THC. International Delmarva will supply the cab and chassis, and it will be shipped up to Mid-Atlantic Waste Systems where the body will be fitted and the truck finished out. Cost $211,285. She has an asterisk for approximate here. And the GL account is located in the packet here, which is the capital lease fund for FY22. And she has the notes of the City of Salisbury Charter section for the general policy of competitive bidding exception, utilizing a price negotiated by another state, county, or government entity. And this will deliver a turnkey truck approximately in the fall of 2023.
You said the fall of 2023?
Yeah, it's extensive lead time on that.
Ooh.
So some background, Mr. Heath, we had went to order because of COVID, a lot of different vehicles this year that the order winners were not able to even open. They weren't taking orders. This was one of those vehicles. So starting in July, when the fiscal year rolled, we started trying to place the orders and have just kept on it since then.
Can we make it through to then? I mean, how desperate are we in need of this?
It's the general rotation of obsolescence,
Okay, so it's
depreciation. I'm fairly confident that we'll still supply sanitation services for the city of Salisbury.
I certainly hope so. Okay. Any other questions from the council?
Mr. President, if I could just add that the procurement team and the field ops have been diligently working to try to track down any piece of the truck to make a full component in its entirety, any option that was available. We have not seen a situation like this ever before, but we're brainstorming and putting in place new options to get in line with contractors for all different types of vehicles so we can stay as competitive as possible with other governments and companies that are buying, but they're putting in the work, that's for sure.
Nice job. Excuse me. If there's no other questions, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of the award of bid, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The chair votes aye. The award of bids is passed by a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Lowe.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You as well.
I will now entertain a motion to approve resolution number 3170.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boda, Ms. Jackson. Ms. Glanz?
Resolution number 3170, a resolution of the City of Salisbury, Maryland, authorizing the mayor to execute a legal services agreement with the law firms of Barron and Budd, P.C., Law Group, LLC. Oh, no, I missed a whole line of names, excuse me.
I was wondering if you were reading something different.
I cannot pronounce all those last names, so we can all read them together in our heads. For representation of the City of Salisbury in litigation arising from contamination of public drinking water and possibly the wastewater treatment plant by products containing PFAS. We're just going to say that. Whereas our federal and state governments have recognized that certain chemicals, specifically those found in firefighting foam products and other products containing PFAS, and related compounds can produce harmful health effects. And whereas such chemicals hereinafter collectively referred to as PFAS have been found in the City of Salisbury's drinking water and are believed to also be present in the surrounding soils and the wastewater treatment plant, subject to further testing. And whereas the presence of PFAS in the drinking water and/or wastewater treatment plant will require the installation of costly treatment protocols. And whereas the City of Salisbury desires to retain legal representation to engage further testing and, if necessary, file suit against the manufacturers of the PFAS present in the drinking water and/or wastewater treatment plant. And whereas any proceeds received as a result of the filing of this suit, whether in the form of a settlement or judgment, will be used to offset the cost of the treatment of PFAS. And whereas the law firm of Barron and Budd, P.C., and all those other names have presented for review and consideration the legal services agreement attached here too as Exhibit 1, which exhibit is incorporated as if fully set forth herein.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? And if we have any, I see Ms. Hayes is here today, so we can direct the questions to her, because I'm not sure Ms. Glanz has the ability
Can't
to
even
answer
say the
questions,
words.
let alone pronounce what they are.
We didn't hire her to be a lawyer.
That's
right.
true.
It's fair.
That's
It's
true.
fair.
Any questions?
I do.
Go
How
ahead.
harmful is this PFAS?
So if I come in by first,
Yeah, sure, please.
and Victoria should come with me.
Being a scientist.
I'm here with Corey Cameron, the Director of Waterworks, to speak to you today. And the answer is we don't quite know yet. So attached to the memo that Ms. Cameron drafted, there is an EPA fact sheet, which is lengthy, and says that there are harmful effects. And of course, with any contaminant for which there are harmful effects, some of the potential harmful effects are carcinogenic, they can cause different cancers, and other sorts of health issues. They are, seems to be especially concerned with PFAS for pregnant women and the effects that it could have on unborn babies. And again, they're concerned about breastfeeding, that sort of thing. You can read more fully in the fact sheet. The science is still coming out. It's so new, in fact, that it is a non-regulated contaminant, which means they know it's bad, but they don't really know at what level it starts to have these sorts of harmful effects. For that reason, they've been testing. They've been asking communities all across the country to start testing to get an idea of how prevalent it is in water systems and in wastewater treatment plants. Pursuant to the MDE's testing requests, we have tested two of our wells. We have not tested the wastewater treatment plant yet, but we have found a level of PFAS. We feel that relative to other areas, it is a low level. However, we just don't know how low is low enough. One of the things that entering into this legal services agreement will help us do is they're going to help provide funding for additional testing so we can find out more, possibly ferret out the source, how this is getting into our wells, from where, make sure that source has been mitigated if it hasn't been. So there's a lot that we can learn through our agreement with this law firm. And then, of course, when the regulations come out, the EPA, we're expecting the federal regs to come out in the fall this year, and then the state will follow suit. Oftentimes, the state regulations are more stringent than the EPA. So the states right now that have already issued regulations at certain levels, Maryland hasn't, but some states have, and they're all over the board. Some are high and we're well under those levels, and some are very low and we're not under those levels. So we're not sure what's going to happen with Maryland. What we're trying to do here is be proactive and learn as much as we can, so that when the regulations come out and when the technology is available to us to start to treat, we hopefully have some funding secured to do that.
How long has this been found in our waterway?
Our tests were done in 2020 by MDE. And we tested the Park plant and the Paleo plant is what we tested, both plants.
So you're saying this level to you is not really high, but how do we deal with the citizens of the city of Salisbury with this, as far as drinking water is concerned?
Well, right now, there's no concern until they set the limits. I mean,
It's concerned.
We're being proactive, trying to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
There's a current treatment limit right now that's at a 70 part per trillion, whereas we came in as at 14 part per trillion, if that gives you any sense.
Yeah.
Right now, the EPA is saying if you're at a 70, you should be alarmed and looking at some treatment right now, planning for that. But
we're at 14.
And we're at 14 for total through the whole system.
And to just give you a little bit more explanation, what we spoke with the attorneys about is even if our numbers are below the minimum required treatment levels, which would be wonderful news for us, but even if they are, the companies that manufactured these chemicals have no right to park their contaminants in our water. So we still have a cause of action, even if it is determined to be quote unquote safe in our particular, with regard to our particular levels. That's another reason that we're entering into this litigation, is that even if we don't have to treat, they have no right to park their bad stuff in our good water.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. If there's no other questions, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of resolution number 3170, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Resolution number 3170 is approved by a vote of 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 3171.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Jackson, that was a tie. I'll give it to Ms. Blake this time. Ms. Glanz.
Resolution number 3171, a resolution of the City of Salisbury, Maryland, accepting a vehicle forfeited by the Circuit Court for Wycomico County and adding such vehicle to the Salisbury Police Department vehicle fleet for use in various operations and police details. Whereas in an order dated March 30, 2022, and entered in case number C22-CR-21-426 pursuant to a plea agreement by and amongst the parties, which order is attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibit 1, the Circuit Court for Wycomico County, Maryland, forfeited unto the City of Salisbury, Maryland, for the use of the Salisbury Police Department a 2013 Nissan Altima, vehicle identification number 1N4AL3AP3DC 164605. And whereas the vehicle requires cosmetic repairs in order to pass the state inspection, which repairs are estimated to cost approximately $1,700, and whereas the Salisbury Police Department has adequate funds in its budget to cover the cost of repair of the vehicle. And whereas the vehicle has an approximate value of $10,000, and whereas upon approval of this resolution, a vehicle will be incorporated into the Salisbury Police Department vehicle fleet, where it will be maintained by the Salisbury Police Department and used as a tool for public safety.
Questions or comments? None?
None.
Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of resolution number 3171, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. Resolution number 3171 is accepted by a vote of 5-0. At this time, we are going to have several public hearings, and I would like to state what's going to happen during these public hearings. If you are going to or desire to speak, you will have to be sworn in by the city clerk. So I will ask when that will happen. And then if you want, when you speak, please go to the podium, state your name, your address, and your time limit will be 4 minutes to make your point. And we appreciate the input of everyone here. So at this time, I will ask Ms. Boucher to present ordinance number 2721.
Good evening, everyone. Ordinance number 2721, an ordinance appropriating the necessary funds for the operation of the government and administration of the City of Salisbury, Maryland for the period July 1, 2022 to June 30, 2023, establishing the levy for the general fund for the same fiscal period and establishing the appropriation for the water and sewer, parking authority, city marina, and stormwater funds. And Council President, I believe this was already read into the record and it's been published, so I think at this point we can defer to public comment.
Correct.
Sure.
Anyone who wishes to speak on this particular item, please identify yourself. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. And I will ask once again, is there anybody that wishes to speak on this item? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing, and I will now I think that handles that piece of it, correct? All right. I will now ask Ms. Boucher to present ordinance number 2722.
Certainly. Ordinance number 2722, an ordinance of the City of Salisbury, Maryland to amend water and sewer rates to increase rates by 6% and making said changes effective for all bills dated October 1st, 2022 and thereafter, unless and until subsequently revised or changed. And again, this has been read into the record and published, so at this point, I think we can open it up for a public comment.
Thank you. I would also like to point out that what we're talking about here is the budget that was submitted by the mayor, okay, at the time of submittal. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this item? Please identify yourself. We have no one on Zoom, correct? Okay. I will now open the public hearing for ordinance number 2722. And once again, I will invite anyone who wishes to speak on this item to please rise. Hearing none, I'll close the public meeting. And we move on to ordinance number 2723. Ms. Boucher?
Ordinance number 2723, an ordinance of the City of Salisbury, Maryland to set fees for fiscal year 2023 and thereafter, unless and until subsequently revised or changed. Same process as last two ordinances that we've read.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this item? At this time, I'll open the public hearing for ordinance number 2723. And once again, I will invite anyone who wants to speak on this item to identify yourself. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing on this item 2723. I'll ask Ms. Boucher to present the constant yield tax rate info.
One second.
Says for the second public hearing.
Is that in your?
Is that the property?
Council President, I have here the City of Salisbury notice of a proposed real property tax increase. The mayor and city council of the City of Salisbury propose to increase real property taxes. One, for the tax year beginning July 1, 2022, the estimated real property assessable base will be increased by 3.57% from a very, I'm just going to read it because it's a very large number, 2,070,388,160 to 2,144,240,282. Number two, if the City of Salisbury maintains a current tax rate of 0.9832 per 100 of assessment, real property tax revenues will increase by 3.57%, resulting in $726,114 of new real property tax revenues. Number three, in order to fully offset the effect of increasing assessments, the real property tax rate should be reduced to 0.9493, the constant yield tax rate. Four, the City of Salisbury is considering not reducing its real property tax rate enough to fully offset increasing assessments. The city proposes to adopt a real property tax rate of 0.9832 per $100 of assessment. This tax rate is 3.57% higher than the constant yield tax rate and will generate $726,114 in additional property tax revenues.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this topic? I'll open the public hearing now for constant yield tax rate. And once again, I will invite anyone who wishes to speak to identify yourself. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. I will ask Ms. Boucher to present ordinance number 2716.
Ordinance number 2716, an ordinance of the City of Salisbury amending section 17.04.040 of the Salisbury City Code entitled Method of Regulation to add confirmatory language exempting federal, state, and local governments from Title 17 of the Salisbury City Code.
Thank you, Ms. Boucher.
Yes.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this particular item? I will open the public hearing for ordinance number 2716. And once again, I will invite anyone who wants to speak on this item to come to the podium. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing on ordinance number 2716 for the second reading.
Second, and then vote on it. I didn't include that in here, but
On each one?
to approve it.
No, just this one.
This one.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2716 for the second reading.
So moved.
Ms. Jackson, Mr. Boda. Questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2716 for the second reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. Ordinance number 2716 for the second reading is approved by a vote of 5-0. You need a break or you need some water?
I'm just fine. This is a
Okay.
lot easier than
All right.
reading everything
We're-
into the record the first time.
We'll keep going. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2725 for the second reading.
Ordinance number 2725, an ordinance of the City of Salisbury authorizing the mayor to accept law enforcement body camera grant funds from the local government insurance trust in the amount of $4,425 for the Salisbury Police Body Worn Cameras project. This is before you for second reading. There have been no changes or amendments since first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boda made a motion, and Ms. Jackson
No,
seconded.
Angela did.
Oh, Angela?
Before I did.
Okay. Ms. Blake seconded. You were raring to go, I got you.
Yeah.
We're okay. Questions or comments?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number I don't know why I want to say that, 2725 for the second reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the chair votes aye. Ordinance number 2725 is approved by a vote of 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2726 for the second reading.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Jackson and Ms. Blake got it again, I think. Ms. Boucher?
Ordinance number 2726, an ordinance of the City of Salisbury authorizing the mayor to accept donated funds in the amount of $1,000 from the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore and to approve an amendment to the FY22 budget to appropriate these funds to partially cover cost of the purchase and installation of a new water fountain at Ben's Red Swings Playground. This is before you for second reading. No changes or amendments since first reading.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2726 for the second reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. Ordinance number 2726 is approved by a vote of 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2727.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Jackson and Mr. Boda. I'll get you the next one. Ms. Boucher.
Sure. Ordinance number 2727, an ordinance of the City of Salisbury authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Wycomico County Local Behavioral Health Authority for the purpose of accepting community mental health services COVID relief block grant funds in the amount of $12,562 and to approve a budget amendment to the grant fund to appropriate these funds for the homeless services case specialist position. Again, this is before you for second reading. No changes or amendments since first reading.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2727 for the second reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. Ordinance number 2727 is approved by a vote of 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2728 for the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boda? Mrs. Gregory?
Ordinance number 2728, an ordinance of the City of Salisbury approving an amendment to the city's FY22 general fund budget and general capital fund budget to approve, or to provide funds for the Poplar Hill Mansion and ADA ramp and bathroom project. Whereas in FY 2021, the city undertook a project to make the Poplar Hill Mansion handicap accessible to include the conversion of a bathroom and the installation of a wheelchair ramp, the project, both of which were to be compliant with the guidelines set forth by the Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA. And whereas ordinance number 2687 previously appropriated $35,000 for the project, and ordinance 2022 previously appropriated $40,000 for the project. And whereas the bathroom conversion has been completed, but the original ramp design was rejected by the Maryland Historical Society, which has approved reconstruction of the rear steps, deck, and the installation of an ADA-compliant inclined platform lift. And whereas the city has determined that an additional $21,242.28 is required to complete the project as approved by the Maryland Historical Society based on bids that have been received. And whereas the appropriations necessary to execute the purpose of the $21,242.28 funds as provided here and above must be made upon the recommendation of the mayor and the approval of 4/5 of the council of the city of Salisbury. Now therefore, be it enacted and ordained by the Council of the City of Salisbury, Maryland as follows. Section 1, the City of Salisbury's FY22 General Fund Budget be and hereby is amended as follows. Increase revenue for account description current year surplus, which is account number 01000-469810 by $21,242.28. Going to increase the expense account for the Transfer General Capital Projects Fund, which is account number 91001-599109 by the same amount, which is $21,242.28. Section 2, the City of Salisbury's General Capital Fund Project, the City of Salisbury's General Capital Project Fund Budget be and hereby is amended as follows. Increasing the revenue account for the ADA lift and bathroom, account description, transfer, and general fund, account number 98022-469313-43028 by $21,242.28, and increase the expense, same project description, which is ADA lift and bathroom. Account description is construction, and the account number is 98022-513-026-43028, again by the same amount, which is $21,242.28.
Thank you. Questions or comments? I do have a comment.
Did I miss?
No,
number?
no. I have, believe it or not, I have an opinion. I'm going to vote in favor of this, obviously, because we need to get ADA accessibility. That's not in question. My issue is with the fact that the Historical Commission denied a ramp that would have taken multiple people at once out of the building, and instead put a electronic lift in that handles one person at a time. And I just want to go on record in saying that I think that was a poor judgment on their part. And even though I will vote yes, I am not pleased with the results.
I agree with you as well, Jack.
Okay, any other comments? I'll call the motion then. All those in favor of ordinance number 2728 for the first reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. Ordinance number 2728 passes the first reading by a vote of 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2729 for the first reading.
So move.
Ms. Jackson, Mrs. Gregory.
Ordinance number 2729, an ordinance of the City of Salisbury amending Chapter 5.64 of the Salisbury City Code entitled Towing Companies to update procedures for dispatching police-directed towing, operations of a police-directed tow on scene, and penalties for violations of the code. Whereas the ongoing application, administration, and enforcement of the City of Salisbury Municipal Code demonstrates a need for its periodic review, evaluation, and amendment in order to comply with present community standards and values and promote the public safety, health, and welfare of the citizens of the City of Salisbury. Whereas the Mayor and Council of the City of Salisbury are authorized by Maryland Code Local Government Article Section 5-202 to adopt such ordinances not contrary to the Constitution of Maryland, public general law, or public local law as the mayor and council deem necessary to assure the good government of the municipality, to preserve peace and order, and to secure persons and property from damage and destruction, and to protect the health, comfort, and convenience of the citizens of the city. Whereas the mayor and council may amend Title V of the Salisbury City Code pursuant to the authority granted in it in Section SC 2-15 of the Salisbury City Charter. And whereas the mayor and council find that the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of the city will be furthered by amending Chapter 5.64 of the Salisbury City Code to update procedures for dispatching police-directed towing, operations of a police-directed tow on scene, and penalties for violations. And whereas the mayor and council have determined that the amendments to Chapter 5.64 of the Salisbury City Code set forth below shall be adopted as set forth herein. Now therefore, be it enacted and ordained by the council of the city of Salisbury, Maryland, that Chapter 5.64 of the Salisbury City Code is hereby amended by adding the bolded and underlined language and deleting the straight-through language as follows. Section 1, Chapter 5.64 of the Salisbury City Code, entitled Towing Companies, is amended as follows. Chapter 5.64, Towing Companies. Chapter 5.64.080, investigation of employees of owner applicants for police-directed tow license. So Section A will be amended as follows. Going down to line 35, starting with the sentence reading, a felony conviction or a plea of nolo contendere involving struck will be a Part 1 crime and replaced with the following language: an aggravated assault, forcible rape, murder, robbery, arson, burglary, larceny, or motor vehicle theft. Moving forward to subsection C of that same section, will now read, should an otherwise approved employee be found guilty of or enter into a plea of nolo contendere to a felony involving, adding the language, any crime listed in 5.64.080A, and striking language, a Part 1 crime. Moving forward to 5.64.090, which is a certificate of insurance to be filed by holders of police-directed tow license. If we go to line 59, we are going to add the word on and strike on from hook, so that way I'll read the sentence as it will read as amended. Every towing company that is licensed to conduct police-directed tows under the provisions of this chapter, regardless of whether such license was issued before or after January 23rd, 2012, shall file with the Director of Finance a certificate of insurance evidencing commercial liability insurance coverage for auto liability with a minimum of $1 million with a maximum of $1,000 deductible for coverage of cargo, and then on hook. Going to section 5.64.100, which is procedure for dispatching police-directed towing companies. Section B, which is found on line 84, we are striking the language, any licensed tow company who shall decline 3 tow requests within a 3-month time period shall be removed from the police-directed towing list for 6 months, and replacing it with the following language. Any licensed towing company that declines or misses 3 tow requests within a calendar year shall have their police-directed towing license suspended for 1 month. Following a 1-month suspension, any licensed towing company that declines or misses a total of 6 or more tow requests within a calendar year shall have their police-directed towing license suspended for 3 months. The following situations shall be considered a declination. 1, failure to respond to the tow scene within 30 minutes on-scene time frame. 2, failure to respond when requested, regardless of reason. 3, failure to answer or respond to a call for service. 4, explicit refusal to respond. Should a tow company need to temporarily come out of the tow rotation for a period of more than 5 days due to mechanical or equipment problems, sick or injured employees, or a similar issue, the tow company shall notify the police department in writing of the reason for the unavailability and the anticipated duration. The police department shall then remove the company from the rotation until the department receives written communication from the company requesting to be placed back into rotation. The tow company shall be placed back into the tow list rotation at the bottom of the existing list. Any licensed towing company who would like to be temporarily removed from the towing list may request that the Finance Department temporarily suspend their police-directed tow license. All requests for a temporary suspension shall be made in writing to the Finance Department and the Police Department. Making such a request will remove a company from the list of companies with a police-directed tow license until such time that the company requests its license be reinstated. Companies may request to have their license suspended for no less than 30 days and no more than 180 days. Any request for a temporary suspension must include the requested police-directed tow license suspension and reinstatement dates. Section C, we are adding the language for all standard or basic tows. The vehicle shall be towed to a storage lot or facility that is located no more than 10 miles from 125 North Division Street in Salisbury. Section E, we are adding the language, which I will let you know when I get to that, so that it now reads, no towing company shall in any way solicit towing business, adding language at a scene involving either a traffic accident or a police-directed tow. And then the language will remain, nor shall any such towing company attempt to take any vehicle in tow unless he or she shall have been summoned by the owner-operator of the vehicle requiring the tow or the city police department. We are adding section 5.64.105, which is found in line 131, called Operations on Scene of a Police-Directed Tow. Section A, the licensed towing company shall be required in accordance with the law to clean the roadway of debris of a crash scene. A non-reusable cleanup materials fee may be charged, and a copy of the purchase invoice for the non-reusable cleanup material must be kept on file and available for examination for 2 years. This fee is intended to offset the cost of a single-use materials to clean up the scene of the accident and to remove accident-related debris. A non-reusable cleanup materials fee may be assessed no more than once per tow call. This fee shall be established from time to time by ordinance. Section B, if additional labor is essential and/or required for roadway cleanup, such additional labor shall be provided by the licensed towing company. An invoice detailing the reasons for the necessity of the labor and the type of work conducted shall be kept on file and available for examination for 2 years. This fee shall be established from time to time by ordinance. C, licensed towing company operators and owners shall comply with the established police-directed tow operator code of conduct. Failure to do so may result in penalties in accordance with section 5.64.161. Section 5.64.110, which is the release from storage, changes will be made to section A, so that it reads, A, adding new language, licensed towing company, striking language, holder of a police-directed tow license. Language shall still remain, shall be required to release, adding new language, all police-directed tows, striking language, disabled vehicles. And there are no other changes to section or subsection A. Subsection B is changed to read as follows, a licensed towing company, replacing the word must with the word shall. Section C is now added, or subsection C is added, and that reads as follows. Whenever a vehicle is released from a storage lot of a licensed towing company on weekends, evenings 6 p.m. to 9 a.m., or state or federal holidays, a release fee shall be charged to the vehicle owner. This charge shall be established from time to time by ordinance. If a licensed tow company refuses to release a vehicle during evenings, weekends, or state or federal holidays, then no storage fees shall be permitted for each day the release is refused. Section D, inside storage of a vehicle shall only be at the request of the vehicle owner, operator, or law enforcement, or if essential or necessary to preserve the condition of the vehicle. If indoor storage is a licensed towing company only method of storage available, then the inside storage shall be charged at the outside storage rate. If at the request of the vehicle owner, operator, or law enforcement, and in order to preserve the condition of the vehicle where inside storage is not available, an application of self-adhesive film, for example, crash wrap, may be used on the area of the vehicle which is open to the elements. If a vehicle must be wrapped in order to be safely transported, a licensed towing company may apply a self-adhesive film and charge a self-adhesive film wrap fee. This fee shall be established from time to time by ordinance. Photographic evidence of the self-adhesive film on the specified vehicle shall be kept on file with the invoice and shall be available for inspection. Section 5.64.120, fees for towing and storage of police-directed tows. The first change to that subsection is found on line 198, adding subsection F, which shall read, "All approved tow companies engaging in police-directed towing shall maintain adequate records to allow expeditious periodic review of their compliance with this chapter. Such records must include, but are not limited to, sequentially numbered invoices, a copy of which shall be provided to each customer, and a copy of which must be retained for a period of at least 2 years by the tow company. In addition, the City Police Department may conduct periodic reviews of the financial records of any tow company holding a police-directed tow license to ensure that it is not directly or indirectly financially interested in any other licensed police-directed towing company as required by Chapter 5.64.70. Subsection or Section 5.64.130, which is the release of vehicles removed at the order of the police department. First changes are to subsection C, line 222, adding language, example of items which are not considered personal property for the purposes of this section include but are not limited to stereos, batteries, license plate, etc. 5.64.140, which is signs required on vehicles. The first changes are to line 233, subsection B, adding the sentence, magnetically affixed or applied signs do not satisfy this requirement. Moving forward to subsection 5.64.160, violations or penalties. The language with amendment will read as follows: any towing company, striking the language, that violates any of the provisions of this chapter shall be subject to a license suspension for up to 90 days for a first offense or revocation for up to 1 year for a second offense by the chief of police. No new license shall be issued during a period of suspension or revocation. In addition, any towing company. So now it will read, any towing company, its employees and agents who have violated any of the provisions of this chapter, adding new language other than the provisions of Chapter 5.64.100B concerning tow declinations, reading still no changes here, shall be guilty of a civil infraction and shall be subject to a fine of not to exceed $500 for a first offense or $1,000 for a subsequent violation. Any towing company, its employees, and agents found guilty of perjury under Maryland criminal law, Title IX, shall be subject to imprisonment not exceeding 10 years, and concluding by adding the following sentence, any towing company, its employees and agents who shall violate the provisions of Chapter 5.64.100B shall be subject to license suspension in accordance with the provisions enumerated in Chapter 5.64.100. And there are no other amendments to this proposed chapter.
Nice job. Questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2729 for the first reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. Ordinance number 2729 for the first reading is approved by a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Moshe. At this time, I will entertain comments from the public. Anybody that wishes to speak? Please come up and state your name and your address. And
my name is Dawn Bauer, Bowers Towing. It's 6836 Arby Road, Parsonsburg, Maryland. My comment is, I didn't hear in any of the proposals about the multiple companies that are owned by the same owner. I think that needs to be addressed. We've been in business since 1970s. I realize that it has nothing to do with multiple companies, but it's not really fair to the individual tow companies to have these owners that have multiple companies getting 3 or 4 times the amount of calls. We all have the same expense. We have to pay employees, insurance. I know you heard about the price of the sanitation truck. A new rollback is half that amount of money. And it's hard to meet those expenses when you're getting one call versus another company that's getting 3 or 4 that has the same owner. That's really all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Also, on that topic, I have a letter that I'd like to enter into the record. It's from D&D Sales Incorporated, May 23rd, 2022. Dear Mr. Sansom, Mayor and Council, Officer Tucker, and Police Duncan, D&D Sales Incorporated, T/AD&C Auto Sales has been towing for the city of Salisbury since 2016. To be clear, it has been a privilege working with the city, especially Pat Geyer and Barry Tucker of the Salisbury Police Department's Quartermaster Office. I want to express my appreciation to all involved in making the adjustments to the tow ordinance. The increase in fees are greatly appreciated. As you all are well aware, the cost of doing business for the city of Salisbury, the business sector and the private sector have increased across the board. We are hopeful that there will be some stabilization going forward. In closing, please let everyone know that their efforts are greatly appreciated, and it's signed sincerely, Donald G. DeKilla, President.
Mr. President,
Yes.
if I may, previously in the code that was prior to this updated version, there was a section in there about not having any financial interests in other companies. Nate has advised that we did add a section in there, a book inspection that will give us the tools to look at financial records. Previously, we didn't have that option, even when we may have thought there were issues of somebody having an interest in multiple companies. So we should be able to tackle that issue moving forward.
That is correct. If I may, that language is found in Chapter 5.64.120, subsection F.
Okay. Thank you. Then I can erase that from my notes. Okay. Comments from the administration?
I think
Do you have?
another public.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Go right
There was a
ahead.
couple things I just want to
Sorry.
touch base on. Section C
Of which one?
of the tow. It was,
There's a lot of subsections.
I know, I'm trying to remember. There was like
Do you want me to
5,
bring it up to you?
please.
Yep.
But anyway, just for a quick breakdown for your guys' mental of understanding of the funds that we're making off of the city. I've done 12 tows since January 1st. My income has been a little bit less than $3,000, and I'm still stuck with 3 cars in my lot. Right there. I'm not sure. And of course, I didn't have a pen with me to write it down. Okay, with the vehicle being released, lot license tow, weekends, yeah, from 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. Fees shall be charged to the vehicle owner. So is this like basically saying that we have to release after hours? Because it's not real clear when you were reading it. So basically, like, I can't shut my business down for.
Even on Christmas, you have to
Right.
release the cars.
On Christmas, I have to release cars.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's not saying like we can be closed, like there's no closed times.
I can't see it.
No, we haven't.
Okay.
It says in there that 365 days around the clock.
We have to be able to release cars even after hours.
3 o'clock in the morning, Christmas Eve, we have to show up to the shop and release a car for $55, or they said we can't charge it in storage.
Right.
Like,
That's,
do we get to go home eventually? I mean.
No, we hear you.
but that was one of the things I wanted to touch base on.
This is only the first reading.
Yeah, this is only,
So we
this is
can
very
make
good for your
changes
participation.
between now
yeah.
and the next reading.
Right.
And then there was one that was about fenced-in lots versus the inside storage.
Yep, hold on. Is that what
That
they're
had to
at?
be the same rates.
This one right
That
here.
requested a
Let's see,
vehicle, owner, operator, right. Yeah, so like, another case, we gotta have an $80,000 building versus a $7,000 impound lot to store a car in for $50 a night.
I think it gives you the option to cover the car
Right,
instead of putting it in and,
right. But then we gotta keep receipts and, come on.
To back,
Sometimes stuff does get lost and,
if
I think we're getting a little bit nitpicky about this whole situation.
If I could back up to the after hours, in the fee
Okay.
ordinance, it says release fee after hours only at tower's discretion. Normal business hours are defined as Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay,
That's the fee
So-
structure, not the ordinance. Is that the fee
No,
structure?
this
Right,
is, this is the
that's-
fee, but
that's under the fee
in the fee
ordinance.
thing,
Under
it
the
says
fee
after
ordinance.
hours at tower's discretion. So that's what we have in the
Right.
fee ordinance.
Right, that's what we have in the fee thing, but it's
right,
not,
in the new one, it
it's
doesn't
not
say
in
nothing
new-
about it.
it's not in
Yeah.
what was just read.
Right.
That's what he's saying.
That's why I brought it up, because it
Yeah.
wasn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, let's compare
I
the
think-
two
I think that-
together.
Well, I think what it means is that if you say to the person, look, if you want it now, it's gonna be, X amount of extra dollars.
We're only allowed to charge $55.
Right.
If they want it now, but like, okay, so if they call me 9 o'clock at night. I
Right, that's
should be allowed
after
to say
hours.
No, I'll
Yeah,
be
you
able
should.
to, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Normal
Normal
business hours.
Right.
Monday through Friday, normally 9 to 5, but we can say 9 to 6, that's fine.
Right.
Right.
Walmart closes on me at 11. I can't go in there at 12 and get milk. You know what I mean? Somebody.
We
gotta go
understand,
home.
we do
Talk to
understand
him.
what you're saying.
But,
Come back at 6.
and then there was, I wanted to bring it up about, the inside storage,
So
And
basically, so let me clarify, from my understanding, it sounds like the ordinance says inside storage, or if you have it outside, you have to cover the vehicle.
Right. So the problem is that there's something that's trying to be controlled that's not really a controllable situation. Because every time you roll up on a scene, it's different. You might, like, the other day, I towed a car, and it was basic, it was, easy cleanup, everything was gravy, but then my buddy's company did one that was rolled over. They were out there for hours cleaning up with the existing prices still, he can only charge what we're allowed to charge. And there was different equipment. So, it's like, I don't know, I think, somebody needs to do a little bit more investigating on
What's the necessity?
situations.
What's the necessity to have the car covered?
Covered, that's what I
Just from my own understanding.
Yeah, I
What
wanna
is,
know.
what is from,
You can come up.
you come up to the,
Come up to the
you come
mic.
up to the
Yeah.
podium so we can.
because I don't know.
Understand it either. Because if it's a wrecked car,
Well, there may be a reason, I don't know what it is.
Well, it doesn't have to be red.
It's more protecting their belongings.
Their belongings.
That's
correct.
You know what I
That's
mean?
correct.
Like, I've seen Gucci purses. I've seen, people coming back from
so
Ocean
do you
City.
have a problem with them covering them?
No, I don't have a problem with
Okay.
it, but there needs to be different charges. So
Okay.
like, let's say
I
I have
understand.
3 motorcycles in my garage already, because you're not gonna wrap a whole entire motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a car that comes in, they've cut the doors off of it, well, then you
Mm-hmm.
look inside and it's nothing but Ocean City stuff. So now I'm out there wrapping this car up with a wrap that I gotta keep a receipt to. And I'm dictated by what I can charge, even though I'm using more than what I can charge for.
Yep. Could we
Okay,
let
we
the
You
understand.
other
understand what I'm
gentleman?
saying?
We understand. I do.
Go ahead.
Hi, Council. My name is Shannon Bauer. I'm also with Bowers Towing in Parsonsburg. As Dawn stated a while ago, we've been on the police list for Salisbury City since the late 90s. We've had a long, good standing relationship with the city. As this gentleman just said about the trying to regulate situations as a whole, I think all this started back in 2012.
I just want to show y'all something. This was actually in the middle of the night, last night, that Salisbury City Police called out. And this is considered a basic tow.
Yeah, that's a $200 call.
This is $200 that we, also driver has to be paid, truck has to be paid, $1 million insurance coverage, which I know for me is $26,000.
Hit it again.
But that's like
That's
one of the
four pocket
situations
for $200.
I wanted to bring to your attention.
Is what the owner's allowed to charge, and that's it. If we go over it, then we run into penalties and all the above, gets kicked off the list. Would you guys get out of bed 4 o'clock in the morning for $200?
I used to do it for nothing.
Well, when you're volunteer fire department, that's a little bit
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm only making a,
And
Make
then
it
to
light.
have someone say that you can only charge $5 for cling wrapper, or you can charge $5 for the stuff you have to put down to soak up the oil, but you have to save a receipt too, but the bag of the stuff costs us $15. So I think the big point is the rates. You know, everyone's trying to regulate the rates of, you know, in the set rate, this is the set rate, this is it. When towing is so up and down with your calls that you have no idea what you're walking into. So the same regular tow that would be $200 isn't the same as this kind of act.
Well, that's just like telling a restaurant that they can only charge X amount of dollars when they spent thousands of dollars on some chicken, but you can only charge $5 for 5 chicken wings, but you paid.
But the Flaming Young, you can only charge $5.
Yeah.
And that's the big problem.
I understand what you're saying.
we get the message. We do have another session. Nate, you're making note, I saw you making notes,
Got a
so.
couple clarifying points.
Okay, go right ahead.
So to respond to a few of those concerns, first regarding the holiday or weekend or after-hours release, our amendment states that that if the licensed tow company refuses to release a vehicle during evenings, weekends, or state or federal holidays, then no storage fees shall be permitted for each day the release of the vehicle is refused. So we're not saying you have to go and release it on Christmas Day. However, if I request to have my vehicle on Christmas and you tell me no, you just can't charge me for that
For
one
that day.
And it's a catch-22 because it's wanting to protect the citizens, but also making sure that we're not infringing upon business either. So it's a balancing act.
So if I go to Pennsylvania and a guy calls me up, some drunk that got pulled over at 2:30 in the morning, I'm sorry to say some drunk, but it just makes it easy. You know, he's like, hey, I want my car, and it's Christmas, and I want to go to Pennsylvania. I still got to give it to him
No.
for...
You don't. You just
You
can't.
don't charge
I just
it.
can't charge
You,
the
for that
$50
one day. For
Right.
that one day. Correct.
Right, but even though my taxes and my insurance and everything still
Now-
charges me.
Well, the other,
You know
the
what I
other
mean?
side of it, supposing it's a single mother that needs her car to get back and forth.
I'm not disputing that.
Well, that's the opposite situation of what you're saying, though.
Right, but we all go above and beyond to help everybody
We're
out.
we're not questioning that.
And I'm not saying that you are, but I feel like everybody's against the tow companies, like we're crooks and animals out here trying to rodeo and steal.
Well, if my recollection serves me, you guys came before us
Right.
and asked for changes in the rates.
And we did.
And we did.
And look, we thank you guys for your time and your inputs and.
Mr. President, if I may, I have a question for Nate, and I just want to clarify something. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, if they refuse to get the vehicle on those days.
To release it.
To release it, they can't charge for that day. But my understanding is the only fee that they're required to charge that's set is when it's pickup during open business hours, right? Correct? And then after business hours, they can set the rate to whatever they like.
After business hours in the revised fee schedule, which was discussed at your budget meeting, and will be voted on June 8th.
Just trying to remember all
So
the
there is an after-hours release fee. So if they choose to release it after hours, then they could charge that additional fee.
The additional fee. So if it's
Correct.
after hours, they charge the additional fee.
Yes.
So in practicality, what they could say is, look, it's going to cost you this much extra for me to come release the vehicle now, or I can release it at, the normal business hours at the regular rate.
Correct.
Okay, so that's, I know if it were my vehicle and unless I absolutely had to have it at 3 a.m., I'd be waiting until the morning and pay that lower rate.
The problem is you can get a lot of drunken people that want
Right.
to create
Have it.
situations 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Right.
We don't want to go deal with them 2 o'clock in the morning because we know it's going to escalate. We want them to sober up and come see us in the morning.
Well, how are they allowed to pick up their vehicles if they're still drunk?
Oh,
They're
you'd
still-
be surprised.
Are they,
released
but
all
how
the
are they, I mean, like, are they allowed to?
Yes, we've had to call the police. to
They
let
might
them
not
know
be
that
allowed
the
to,
car
but they're
and the guy's
doing it.
still drunk.
That can't even
And
walk
literally
straight.
had DUI arrests done right in our parking lot, and this is within the past 2 months.
And we had to impound it again
Wow,
because he still couldn't pass the sobriety.
right.
And showed up the 3rd time still drunk.
Okay, Nate, do you have another response for that would address their situation?
On this issue and then to the other issue that I think was mentioned. And in this ordinance, we're not saying you pick up the phone and have to release it that hour. The wording is ordinance, you can't charge for that day if you refuse to release it on that day. So it really is targeted towards those holidays. Not, I think the example of the 2 a.m. phone call, you can say, well, okay, I'll release it at 8 a.m. You know, that would still be, or 9 a.m. you'd get into the regular business day. So I think interpretation, we've worded it here in such a way that we're not, you know, it's not so narrow so as to require you to wake up at 2 a.m. and, you know, be on the spot.
Right.
But then to the issue of indoor and outdoor storage, the way that the ordinance is written is that the vehicle owner, operator, or law enforcement can request indoor storage if it's essential or necessary to preserve the condition of the vehicle. But then if indoor storage is the licensed towing company's only method of storage available, then the inside storage shall be charged at the outside storage rate. So the only thing that's doing is if your outdoor lot was full, all you had available was indoor space, we're saying, well, because you're making me store my vehicle indoor, you can't charge me the indoor rate when it could have been stored outdoors.
And I'm fine with that. I had no problem. But like, I towed a Maserati that was supposed to be inside storage, and I did put it inside storage, but it was $50 a night storage. And that was last year, and I understand that was last year, but you know, that was one of the situations, like, I got frowned upon because I called up and I'm like, look, you know, $150,000 building, I really don't want to store his Maserati in here for $50 a night. And of course, I lost that battle, but, you know, there's got to be other situations. So, like, I was thinking, and I know it's scary when I think, so, like, I think it ought to be just broke down, 2 simple lists: accidents, impounds, disabled, relocate, whatever. Regulate the accidents. Man, I can care less if you charge $100 for every impound, disabled, relocate, whatever you want. And then that would eliminate a lot off of us.
Can I make a suggestion? Because we're not going to resolve the issue tonight.
Right.
We have another there's a work session between
I know.
now and the next meeting. So I would suggest come and, if you can't come in person, get on Zoom. And
It'll be June 8th is our next work session.
Yep.
At 4:30. Monday, June 8th.
okay, and that way you'll be
no.
able to get input.
June 6th.
June 8th.
Is it June 8th or June 6th?
I thought that,
Hold on a second.
Hey,
It says 8 on the back.
No, 6. It should be,
The next meeting is June 8th, the next
hold on,
That's
June
the
8th.
special
legislative
budget
session.
meeting.
yeah.
Where they-
June 8th.
No,
The next
no.
But the
Work
next
session.
work session is June 6th,
6, yeah.
Is that for the
Monday.
Monday.
2 Mondays from now.
So we should be here June
Oh,
6th.
June 6th,
Yeah.
June
4:30.
6th.
I thought-
Oh, because that June 8th is a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's June 6th.
That's a special.
Okay?
I have one more question.
Sure. 4:30, it's 4:30.
I have one more question. For the photograph of the vehicle that you've turned, did that vehicle have to be covered? Or how was that stored? How was a vehicle like that even stored?
At the end of the day, a vehicle like that, we know, so
Right.
pretty much, we work with insurance companies every day, so we know what they're gonna pay for and what they're gonna let it go to Copart, they're not gonna.
Right.
fix it. So we knew that wasn't gonna fix it, so we don't cover that. But the thing is, you have to flip the car back over, you have to have enough skill to do that, you have to get it on your truck, usually wheels are broke off, it puts screws in your roll back, it damages your
Yeah.
equipment. You know, it can break your pulley cables and all that. But the problem is, on an accident call like that, that was $230 and $50 a day storage is all we're allowed to charge. Even with the new rates at $325, you're out there for a couple hours, then you have to spend about at least an hour to 2 hours to clean everything up properly. properly. And it comes back to wanting to unregulate just the accidents. Some accidents are easy peasy. You know, you go there, fender bender, you hook it up, 200 plus the 30 on the admin. That's great. That was, you know, what we call easy money, not to be funny
Right.
with it, but that's what we call it. But then you get into the accidents like that one I just showed you, which was last night right here in Salisbury. You get into them, and then how do you really set the rates on that to be the same as that easy peasy car?
Right.
You know what I mean? And this is like we've already went through with the Maryland State Police, and that's what they did. The accidents themselves, just the accidents, aren't regulated. Now, when you have accidents themselves, you guys aren't paying. If you get an accident tonight, you're not paying for that accident. It goes to the insurance company. So what we're really arguing is not what we're allowed to charge the citizens of Salisbury. We're arguing what we're allowed to charge the insurance company. That's really what the whole argument with us comes down to.
Okay, insurance company.
It is because we shouldn't be able to charge, I can only charge that insurance company $230, $50 a day. They're gonna leave that car in my lot for at least 30 days. And then they're gonna argue about storage.
Then want to negotiate.
They wanna negotiate with the bill.
Mr. President, if I may.
It's like we're already beat down enough that there's no
Okay.
wiggle room, but if you don't negotiate with them, then you don't get paid.
Okay.
They don't want the car back.
And that's why in the revised fee schedule, we have that additional labor fee and that this ordinance is creating. That way, if the tow does require 2 hours of cleanup, as long as you're documenting the reason that that additional labor is required, you have a mechanism to bill for that additional labor. And that will be on top of the accident, the tow fee.
But wouldn't that be in the police report also that, you know, that a car flipped from here and landed here? Like, for an example, go ahead.
Hold on. This is the council meeting, okay? And we took care of the council meeting business, and we're willing to sit and listen to you at the work session, which is the proper place to do it. This is not the proper place to do it. So I'm going to have to call timeout.
One last real quick, one sentence.
You sound like my son. Go ahead.
I'm not good. If we could even put in the language that this is for the citizens of Salisbury and that you guys aren't involved with us in the insurance company. Something along them lines, I don't know how to properly say it, but let us do business with the insurance companies the way we do business with them. And I can fully understand you guys wanting to protect the people of Salisbury and not letting anybody take advantage of them. I can fully respect that and appreciate it, but to leave the insurance companies out of it for the accidents.
That's two sentences, but we'll.
Just like your son, I'm sure he tells you sometimes like that on this.
All right. Thank you. All right. Administration comments.
Appreciate the lively discussion tonight. We'll take all those notes back and be prepared for work session on the 6th. Just want to say a big thank you to the city team for a rock star first weekend, unofficial weekend of summer with Third Friday, Movie on the River, Hops on the River, and the Haitian Flag Day. Probably in total, I mean, there was thousands of people in the downtown core this weekend over those 3 days. And I talked to folks from all over the state, different states that were attending the Hops on the River. So a really good representation of Salisbury, and couldn't have done it without PD, Fire, Field Ops, and our new ABCD team. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Boda?
Yes, Third Friday was a great event. Hops on the River Lake was there too, consuming filtered water. I would like to say to those who would like to volunteer for the National Folk Festival, that is up now. nationalfolkfestival.com/volunteer. And you can select the areas you would like to volunteer for. We need over 800 volunteers. We usually get them, but there are plenty of things to do the week leading up to the National Folk Festival with set up, the actual festival itself. We need people in various formats. And then after the festival is done, we need help tearing down and packing up, and that has changed this year. It's going to be, what is that, August 27th, 28th?
6, 7.
27.
Yeah, 26th, 27th, 28th.
Yeah.
So should be a wonderful event to close out our summer here in Salisbury. But everything still happens in the fall, too, so we have some great Third Fridays in the fall, so we try to make it last as long as possible.
Great, thank you. Ms. Jackson?
Yes, I've listened to the news today, and I've heard a lot about COVID. More talk than usual. I'm just asking everybody to continue to be safe, social distance. If you haven't gotten your vaccination, please do so. If you haven't gotten your boosters, do so. And I would also like to express my concern with the dirt bikes. We had a meeting last Tuesday, pretty successful, and we're moving forward with some things. And there probably will be a part 2 to that first meeting, so just look forward. I'm looking forward to it, and we're going to do some things with the school system, and some of the bikers are going to help us. So I appreciate everything and everybody that came and assisted and helped and did everything they did. It was a successful one, and we didn't have many, but we had just enough to do what we needed to do, and I thank everybody for that, and I thank the community. Thank you.
Thank you, April. Angela?
I think there's 19 glorious days of school left, and so please, glorious. They're
She's counting
glorious.
down.
They're glorious.
Not that she-
Glorious days of the school year. Again, the bus safety, I'm still seeing some questionable driving around the buses. I know it's getting close to the end of the school year. And also just general traffic safety. Just please be safe on the roads. And as always, if you are healthy enough, please donate blood. We are in urgent need on the Eastern Shore for blood.
Thank you, Angela. Michelle?
Just want to reiterate what April was saying about COVID being back in the news. As of Friday, the health department posted that it was at 13%.
13.8.
Yeah, almost 14% in Wycomico County. So please, please, please get vaccinated, get boosted. If you've been vaccinated and not boosted, go get boosted, especially if you want to come out and enjoy all these beautiful events. The second thing is, if it's hot out like it was this weekend, it looks like it's going to be cooler later this week, but when it gets that hot, check on neighbors and friends and family who may not have the ability to run AC or have efficient systems. So check on folks.
Good point. Again, just to reiterate, I'm always a second to Angela's thing about blood. It hasn't gotten any better, and we need to make sure that it is. And even though someone the other day criticized me, please keep the Ukraine in our prayers. They're still fighting. They're fighting hard, and they're fighting for their lives. And we're with them, and we wish them well. Other than that, everybody have a good week. Thank for those who came tonight, and for those, well, there were none of them coming from home. But thank you, Nate, for your help. And this meeting is now adjourned.
Nate's sitting in the mayor's chair tonight.
Yeah.